Win-win negotiation. So what does this mean? What does win-win negotiation mean?
Both parties win, at the end they get.
Both parties get something, yeah, absolutely.
It means it's a win-win for your client and not so much for you, the agent. It's mostly, you're trying to do what's in their best interest for them,
Sure,
not so much about your commissions,
sure,
etc.
sure. How do you win as an agent?
You're happy.
Return on the client.
Repeat business and referral business. If you make your clients your raving fans, you will never want for business ever again. And so when you represent them to the best of your ability and look out for their needs, which they may or may not necessarily be fully aware of, that might be part of the process, is discovering those needs, you will never want for business. Do we care a lot about price or terms in our business? We sure don't. That's the thing that the spotlight's on, but that's just window dressing here. What matters is meeting needs and making our clients our raving fans and representing them like no one else does. Absolutely. I'm a big fan of win-win negotiation. Let me ask you a question. Let's say we make a deal. Let's say I am a caveman in North America, and I get together this band of heroes here, and I say, you know what, we're all starving. If we all get together and we go take down a woolly mammoth, we'll have food for the rest of winter. And everyone here gets 1 share of the kill, and I get 10 shares. Is that fair?
Did you capture the animal yourself? No.
That's not fair. It offends our Minnesotan sense of fairness.
I think then it should be equal.
You think it should be equal? Really? When in life is equal fair?
Well, I wouldn't say fair, but it's,
Equal is my idea to take down the woolly mammoth,
I understand that.
but your feelings are a little bit hurt by the iniquity of it.
No, I think that you couldn't do it yourself. Therefore, as a team,
Neither could you. Maybe I'll get together with these people and we'll go take down a woolly mammoth and you'll starve. Maybe I can hard close you.
she's a woman, she won't start.
It's true.
We have powers.
It's true. It's absolutely. If you've seen my polarity talk, you absolutely have superpowers. Absolutely. Do we all get a woolly mammoth when we're done?
Yes.
We all get to eat. We probably, in fact, have more food than we could eat for the whole winter.
Yep.
We live in Minnesota, so we have some refrigeration technology built into our ecosystem here. Who cares who gets how much? We all win, right? I'd strongly encourage you to divorce yourself from the word fair. It is a meaningless word, and certainly divorce yourself from the word equality. That is a dangerous word. What matters is winning, but not I win, therefore you lose, or you win, therefore I lose. I accidentally did some negotiation coaching with a contractor this morning who is in a brawl with his insurance agent right now over a claim. And he said, I'm not going to let this mother effer take me. I'm not going to let him win. I told him, you are doomed. In that mindset, you can never prevail. You need to go to him and say, why haven't we been paid on this claim? What can I do to help you get this situation resolved? Because we both want this situation to get resolved. And it really doesn't matter like what the number is of the payout. It doesn't matter. The price and terms don't matter. What matters is we all are whole at the end and our needs are met. So I'm hopefully going to completely change your entire definition of what negotiation is in the next couple hours today. I hope it changes your life. Can everyone see how that could be possible?
Yep.
Awesome, we've got a lot of ground to cover. So I'm going to throw this slide up here. I don't know if it's valuable to put up or not. Just a little bit of credibility check for me. I know a lot about negotiation. I hope you believe that there's something that you could learn here today. I also want to cite my source here. So please write down this book right now and go buy it on Audible and start listening to it as soon as you leave this room. I have listened to this book countless times. This is a life-changing book. Half this presentation comes straight from this book. Life-changing book. Life-changing book. It's all about communication. It's written by FBI counterterrorism, hostage negotiator kind of person. And if you can negotiate with someone who is suicidal, homicidal, completely irrational, do you think you could negotiate with a seller?
Yes. Hopefully. Sounds.
If you can negotiate with your toddler, you think you can negotiate with a seller?
Yes.
You can negotiate with the drivers in this town, you think you can negotiate with a
I
seller?
don't know.
A lot of people get intimidated by negotiation, and it's not. It's really not. It's all about creating win-win relationships. So I talked about changing the way you think. I think we're good. I really hope that today's talk is a paradigm-shifting moment in your life. I'm going to equip you with some powerful tools. I'm going to equip you with some tools that give you a hopelessly unfair advantage over everyone you negotiate with for the rest of your life. But the most important takeaway I hope you have from today is that your job as a negotiator in every aspect of your life is to lead and to create value for yourself and others. To be a nexus of value creation. For people in your life to say, gosh, I don't know how or why, but whenever I work with Lauren, like, just good things happen. I don't even understand it. I just really want to do business with her because when I do, like, just good things happen. I don't know. I want it to be a mystical superpower that you have. And this is a caveat from my polarity talk, if you caught that as well. So these are dangerous powers, right? I'm going to speak to this a little in depth here in a little bit. You can use these powers for good, or you can use them for evil. And in the short run, you can use them to create win-lose negotiations. And that's really, really, really going to handicap you in the long run. When you take everything on the table and don't bring any value to your counterparties, they want to do business with you again. I really hope that we're looking ahead, not just at this year or the next year, we're looking 10, 20 years down the line. And so when people think about you, they don't think, whew, I hate to be in a negotiation with that person. I hope they think, this person makes me happy. I don't know why, but when I do business with this person, somehow I just get what I want. We cannot influence others while we're judging them. I encourage you, when you're negotiating, to never, ever, ever judge someone. We're going to get to the why, and in order for you to influence someone, you cannot judge them. So, has anyone here ever heard of The Infinite Game? So, another excellent book to read. I recommend, at a minimum, catching a talk from, just Google or search on YouTube, Simon Sinek, Infinite Game. So there's two kinds of games in the world, in all of the human experience. There's finite games, and there are infinite games. So finite games are games that we're familiar with, like basketball or football, or I'm actually having a hard time thinking of a finite game that's truly a finite game that's not an artificial human construct. We're trained to think of the world in the context of finite games. What's the purpose of a finite game? What's the goal in basketball? To win!
At the end of a specific period.
At the end, yes, finite games have an end. And finite games have a winner and they have a loser. And right from birth, we're taught that the world is full of these finite games. And when we negotiate, we probably think of it, unless you have done some reading or seen one of my previous talks, you might think of negotiation as a finite game. There's a winner and a loser. It's a zero-sum game. Now let's think about infinite games. Infinite games are radically different from finite games in that the purpose of the game is not to win. The purpose of the game is to stay in the game. And at its apex, the purpose of an infinite game is to perpetuate the game. Can anyone think of an infinite game off the top of their head?
Life.
Dealing with kids, yes. We hope that our relationship with our kids never ends. But I doubt that in your day-to-day life, you're often thinking about raising your children and thinking about it from an infinite game perspective, that I hope that the actions I take today result in me having a phenomenal relationship with this child for the rest of my life. Think about how it might change some of the decisions you make when you think about parenting from that perspective. I know I often get into a win-lose mindset, into a finite game mindset with my toddler, especially when I'm negotiating with them. I just want you to shut up. I just want you to clean up the toys. I just want you to buckle your seatbelt. Is this something that's building trust with my children? This is the thing they might be talking to their therapist about 20 years from now because they haven't talked to me in a few years and they don't know why. Negotiation is an infinite game. So as I said, I'm going to give you some superpowers today. I'm going to give you some mechanics. that will equip you to be a successful negotiator. I have spoken with some of the most proficient negotiators in society. So for example, I had the opportunity to do a year-long negotiation course with Margaret Keller, the state speaker of the House. She trained at the Harvard School of Negotiation. She literally wrote the book on negotiation. A very consummate negotiator. And one of her pieces of advice was, you need to be wary, because on the House floor, if someone knows that you're a really good negotiator, you quickly get a reputation for such, and people don't want to do business with you. You could be such a good negotiator and such a finite game negotiator that it comes to be the case where if it's known that someone has negotiated with you, done business with you, it's just an assumption that they lost the negotiation, that they gave up everything they had to give, that they got taken. And people don't want to do business with you. Now, if you're just starting your journey on becoming a skilled negotiator, that seems like a far-fetched concept, but it's something you need to be thinking about very carefully. Now, you should never just like give things away for free. You should never just be a nice person and forfeit value in the hopes of some future outcome or something like that. But when you take everything, that only happens for a season. We live in a very small universe, especially in our community of agents. And so I strongly encourage you to play the infinite game. In every negotiation you interact with, which is most of your interactions with people in your day-to-day life, especially as an agent, well, probably especially as a parent, but as an agent, think carefully about the question, is this going to help me be an agent who's successful for the next couple of decades? I want the counterparty in my negotiation to walk away ecstatic with the outcome. And that's my primary objective whenever I interface with anybody. I promise you, if you have an infinite game perspective instead of a finite game perspective, it takes a little while. It takes a few years to grow a reputation, to build a book of business, to build relationships with other agents. But if you do this is going to sound really sad. I hope you grasp the full meaning of this. Integrity and an abundance mindset will be a short-term tactical disadvantage for you. And in the long run, it will be your greatest strategic advantage, the thing that differentiates yourself from the competition. There's very few agents in our market that have this abundance mindset, sadly. They are befuddled when they interact with me. They are sincerely confused and without words when they interact with me. And that confuses me. I have to explain to them how this is going to work, and how they're going to win, and how I'm going to lead us through this negotiation, and how we're both going to get what we want. They are so confused by this approach that they have no idea what to do. And that's actually one of my greatest disadvantages. It would be really advantageous, I think, if I went around teaching people how to negotiate, and then I think it would be a lot easier for me to do business in this town. Do you think it might be a good idea for me to teach people how to negotiate, and that would actually improve my outcomes? Like, why would I give away my bag of tricks? Because I live in an abundance mindset. Because I want a board of players who live in this mindset. And I know that's going to lead to abundance for me. What is negotiation? I kind of hate to have this slide on here. So it's meeting of minds, obviously. When we're done, we're all on the same page. I wonder how much people actually believe this, though. I think there's a lot of people who think that negotiation, when you're done, you've begrudgingly gotten someone to agree to something. You've tricked them into something. I got tricked by an agent a couple weeks ago. In one of the amendments in a counteroffer, we made the closing date this date, but then the occupancy date 2 weeks later. I had no idea what I agreed to. I was just signing paperwork, and so we closed, funds were released, and then I went over there, and there's no lockbox, there's no keys, there's a garbage dumpster there, they're hauling stuff out, there's a moving truck. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, well, didn't you read the contract? How do you think I'm going to interface with that person in the future next time I do business with them? You know, I got to be honest, I respect it. I thought, oh, you got me good. You got me good. Well done. I learned a new trick today. But I don't really want to do business with that person again. I don't know if they did it on purpose. I don't think they pulled one over. But there certainly was no meeting of the minds, that's for sure. Your number one objective is to meet of the minds. You need to get down to people's whys, down to their core motivations. When someone wants to sell a house, they've got a number. 200,000. What does that mean? What does it mean? What does that mean?
Is that their net that they need?
That's an excellent question.
So we're deriving.
That's an excellent question, and that's a first step in the conversation. Absolutely. Is that the net you need, or is that the gross sales price? Because they probably don't even know. What's the first question you ask? What's the first thing you do when someone
Why?
tells why? Why? You know, we owe this much, and this is how much we think we can sell it for, and so we're gonna get this much. And so you ask, and so Lauren, you ask,
Is that the net or the gross?
yep,
Okay,
so
I
we
got
owe
my
this
net
much,
sheet.
we think we can sell it for this much, so we'll get this much. And so you ask,
Is that what you need? Is that correct?
Where'd you get
Sorry,
the
I'm
number?
trying to
this
follow.
is very good. Yep,
I'm
so
trying
we
to take
just
notes.
went one level deep, now we just went 2 levels deep. Is that what you need? When you ask someone what they want and what they need, they're often very different things, aren't they? So I say, that's what I need. I need to have this much no matter what. To which you say, it's the same question.
Why?
Why? It always takes 3 levels. It always takes 3 levels. And then people just put their cards on the table. People want connection. They want to be heard and understood above all else. And especially in Minnesota, we have some pretty strong facades for that. I think in Oklahoma, my other market, you only need to go 1 layer deep to figure out people's why. People are very gregarious and outgoing and like confrontational in their feelings. Like, hey, I'm feeling great. What's wrong with y'all? You have to go 3 levels deep in Minnesota, for sure.
And then
And so-
after that, sorry,
And then after that,
would you plot your net sheet that you have prepared?
we're not there yet.
Okay.
Well, we want to buy a home in Florida. My mom just got a diagnosis, and she doesn't have much time left. And so this is what we have to do. And we need this much to go get a home in Florida for her. I mean, it turns that fast. It turns that fast. People are ambushed by your sincere curiosity about their motivations and how they feel and what they need. As soon as people figure out that you actually care about them, all their defenses drop, and you have a high intimacy relationship that's going to save you so much in the long run. And here's the key piece here. This is not a mechanic. This is not a tool. You actually have to care about them. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to tell you that if you don't love your clients, if you don't love them sincerely, you may not be very successful in this business. And you might get some advice that's counter to that thought. Now, you can still have good boundaries. There's people in my family that I love, but I have very good boundaries with them. I don't let them stay at my house. I don't lend them money. I don't let them hurt me or my family. But I can still love them and care for them to the best of my ability. And people get that. And people always honor love with boundaries. Sometimes you might be one of the first people in their life that love them fully with appropriate boundaries. It can totally change their life. We as agents have a unique perspective into people's lives. We intersect their lives at very vulnerable times when they're making some of the biggest decisions, having some of the biggest changes that they ever experience. And we cannot take that responsibility lightly. But I promise you, if you love your clients and you serve them, you will have no difficulty being financially successful. And I think you might be a little bit happy. Here's a text message I got from one of my clients this morning. Wow, Nick, this was a dream. Now it's a goal. Thank you so much. It's something I can do. I'm just shocked that I could have taken action before and I didn't have any knowledge of a home or how to do it, but now I know, and with your help, I can create this financial plan and I can achieve this. I'm just surprised that this new journey is taking off sooner. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. That made me feel pretty good waking up to that text message from my client. I get a lot of text messages like that from my clients because I love them. It sure makes it fun to do this job. The art of careful, considerate, sincere listening and a tireless search for value. There is so much value out here for everyone all the time, and they just need help finding it. I'm sure you all know exactly what I'm talking about. You're talking to a client, or let's say you're talking to your toddler, and your toddler is throwing a tantrum because They want an apple, and the apple is literally sitting on the counter. You've already cut it for them. And you're like, hey, the apple's right there. What can I do to help you find this value? What can I do to help you discover the thing that's going to meet your needs? And this may sound insulting, but I don't think our clients are far off of that metaphor. This is something that, rightfully so, they're very ignorant of. So this individual who is so grateful for me, now, let me be clear, if I'm condescending to him, can he see that? Can he sense that? Can he?
Yeah.
You don't condescend people, you don't treat them like toddlers, but I'm saying meeting their needs is literally that much work. Oh, you want to buy a home? Ha! I help people buy homes. Well, what are the odds? Why haven't you bought a home already? Oh, you didn't know, how much cash you needed? You didn't know you could get a 401k loan, and that's a government-provided subsidy just to help people do down payments on their homes. You didn't know there's Minnesota first-time home buyers assistance. You didn't know how to look for homes on the MLS. You didn't know how you could financially sustain that by doing a rent-by-the-room situation on the home that I help you acquire. You didn't know any of these things. Well, this conversation just took us about 5 minutes. And now you know these things, and now you're excited to move forward. Our job is just a tireless search for value. Wayfinding, helping people figure out what they need. And again, all of these things are negotiations, right? A client comes to me and says, Nick, I want to buy a home. I'll talk to you in a few years. So that's their term, is 2 years from now. They haven't named a price yet. Oh, really? Why do you want to wait 2 years? Well, I'm saving up money for a down payment. Oh, really? Why are you doing that? Oh, because I don't have enough money. Oh, really? Well, did you know I can help? So we're 3 levels deep here very quickly. I don't know if you noticed, but just why is the question I ask over and over and over and over again. And when we do our calls today, after I equip you with a few tools, I hope you fall out of your seat when you realize just how powerful this is. How much people want to open up, how much people want to yield to you and allow you to lead and allow you to give them value and help them find their way to value. So we never stop searching for value. And then good negotiation is always a win-win, never a lose-lose. Why is negotiation so important? Why am I giving this big talk on negotiation? I think we've clearly established that we're not just talking about negotiating price and terms with your client, right?
Correct.
Why is negotiation so important? Why is it something I'm so passionate about? Why is it something I've spent hundreds of hours of my life, maybe 1,000 hours, in careful, considerate, directed effort to learn about? Answer's on the slide. The pay is good. The pay is good. How good is the pay? How good is the pay? Has everyone here heard of the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule, that sort of thing? So this applies to almost every aspect of organic life. It's like E or pi. It's just a mathematical constant. 20% of the plants, the pea plants, produce 80% of the peas. That was his original observation. Wealth distribution in society, the success of a hit album, land ownership. All these are 80-20 distributions. Here's something you've probably not heard of before. All of your compensation that you earn for your activities in your life are on an 80-20 distribution. Now that may not be obvious to you if you are a W-2 employee. It's probably a little more obvious to you if you're a 1099 employee. Because most W-2 employees think, well, I punch the clock, I show up, and I get my pay, and that's it. There's not like a direct relationship between them. But I can promise you that 20% of the time you spent doing income-earning activities in the last year earns you 80% of your compensation. Doesn't matter what your job is. Doesn't matter if you're a 1099 employee, self-employed, own your own business, if you're an investor. Doesn't matter what it is. 20% of the time last year earned 80% of your compensation. And here's the kicker. There's an 80-20 of the 80-20. And there's an 80-20 of that 80-20. So who can do some math for me here? So let's multiply out 80% times 80%. Who can do some math for me? 0.2 times 0.2. Okay. 4%. And who can multiply 0.8 times 0.8? 64%. So 4% of your time last year earned you 64% of your income. And who can multiply this times 0.2 and 0.8?
So is 0.8%.
0.8%. So we're going to say 0.008
Yes.
of your time resulted in what percent of your outcomes? So 0.64 times 0.8.
0.51.
So 51% of your outcomes came from less than 1% of your efforts. More than half your outcomes last year came from 0.1% of your time or effort. This sounds a little bit far-fetched, doesn't it? It sounds a little bit far-fetched. I can promise you that almost all of this was the time you spent negotiating. So let's say you're a W-2 employee, right? And you have a $40,000 salary, and you're going through the interview, and there's a fit analysis, and they say, okay, usually we do 35, we'll do 40, and you say, okay. What did I just tell you the whole purpose of negotiation is? It's a tireless search for value. So we're interviewing with our W-2 employer. He says, yeah, we can start you at 40. What do you say?
We can start you at 40,000.
What do you say? I'm the employer, you're the employee. We have a generous compensation package. We'll start you at 40,000. What do you say?
I need 80.
Oh, why? That's good. That's good. You ambushed me. Well, no one's ever asked that question before. All of our employees, we've got a pay band, and you seem like a real, straight shooter. I think you're going to be really valuable. So we're able to go just a little bit above that, and so we're able to do 40,000.
What else?
What else? What else? What?
What else are you going to
Offer.
offer?
What else? Well, there are technically like a couple things we could offer, like we could do like maybe a couple extra weeks of vacation or something like that. And I think you're worth it, but we don't usually start people this high. Like I said, you're worth it, but only a few people have ever started this compensation level. What are we looking for here?
Value.
Yep. So what value can you offer me? So what would you ask?
What?
Is there anything I could do to earn a couple more weeks of PTO?
Sure.
Sure.
I can say, my wife covers all of the insurance for me, so that wouldn't be a burden to you.
Oh man, insurance is so expensive to us. We'd save a lot of money on that. So yeah, we'd be happy to offer you that. What else could you do? I've never had this conversation with someone before in a salary negotiation.
Do you have anybody working for you that has an MBA as well as a BA? in
Really?
business management?
No, we don't. Do you have an MBA?
Yes.
Wow. Tell you what, let's do 45,000. It's this easy. How long did this conversation take?
Seconds.
Couple of seconds. And we just increased our compensation for the whole year by 20%. A couple of seconds. Because whenever you walk away from the negotiating table, I promise you there's more left. I promise you there's more value left to discover. And this right here, this is it. If you hone your skills in negotiation, if you develop awareness of the fact that you are always negotiating, you will have an exponentially radical impact on your compensation, on your fulfillment in your relationships, and your overall happiness, because you'll be aware of all the value that's out there in the universe at all times that people aren't just afraid to ask for.
Right.
And you have to lead with value. You have to say, wow, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That is very generous. I was hoping for just a little bit more. Is there anything that I could do that would make a higher number make sense for you? No one's ever, people are always asking what they can get in these salary negotiations. I've done 100 interviews, so sincerely, I've done hundreds of interviews for hiring tech employees and developers and stuff. Never once, other than my interview for my job, has anyone ever asked what they can do to bring more value. Here I am, I'm awesome. What am I worth? What a weak way to sell yourself. What do you need? What can I do to bring you value? Do you think if you asked your clients what you can do to bring them value, they might give you some pointers?
Give you the exact answer.
I will literally start most of my meetings in my whole life, and I will ask people, hi, my name is Nick Stageberg, I'm glad that we're meeting today. What can I do to deliver value to you today? I'm really messing up this presentation here. What can I do to deliver value to you today? What can I do to bring you value? What did you hope to achieve in today's meeting? Please write that down. What did you hope to achieve in today's meeting? And what can I do to bring you value? People will be ambushed by this every time, I promise. What do most people walk into a meeting with? What's on their mind? What? Their agenda. What agenda do I walk into every single meeting in my life with?
Their
Curiosity.
Their agenda. Their agenda. What do they want to talk about? What can I do to provide them with value? We call it a sales presentation, right? Like a listing presentation or a buyer's rep presentation. Wow, we are lost. What is it? When we meet with someone that we want to sell something to, what is it? What is this meeting?
It's a value presentation. What do they want? Their agenda.
That's a big improvement. What would be a better word than presentation?
Assessment.
An assessment. That's very good. That's very good. I call it, and some top agents do call it an assessment, like a fit assessment or a fit analysis or something like that. I call it an interview. But they're not interviewing me, I'm interviewing them. Maybe you've heard from the W2 world that the best interviewing technique is to interview the person interviewing you, and that becomes like some kind of BS management jujitsu move or whatever. I live my whole life that way, and I never want to find value. I never lack to find value. It's very important to be good at negotiation. You're negotiating all the time. It's happening before you think it's happening. Who do you think gets the better end of the deal? The person who realizes they're in a negotiation or the person who doesn't?
Both of you do.
Depends on who's leading. Depends on who's leading. If they're a person who leads with value and a person who finds win-win deals, or someone who is a finite game player in negotiation. And the person who doesn't realize they're in a negotiation, when they get to the end of that encounter, they have no ability to articulate what happened, but they know how they feel. They feel used. They feel taken advantage of. They just feel awful. They feel weak. They will never do business with that person ever again. Maybe that person won the day today, but they will never do business. And given the opportunity, they will not sing your praises, that's for sure. We're playing an infinite game here. Third alternative. Has anyone ever read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
Yeah.
Stephen Covey?
Parts of it.
Third alternative. This is one of my favorite Stephen Covey principles. I'm not going to run through the diagram or anything like that. I'm going to tell you a story. So you're sitting in an office job, right? Oh, by the way, telling the story is how I won my last job in tech. It was a 6-figure job, and I won it by telling the story. So you might want to take a few notes. They asked me, as an architect, as a person leading legions of software developers, how the heck do you keep people on the same page? Because everyone's kind of doing something slightly different, and like this person wants to use this architecture or this programming language, and this person wants to use this programming language. How the heck do you get people on the same page? And this was my answer, was this story. You're sharing an office with someone, and there's a little passive-aggressive dispute going on. Every day, you come in first thing in the morning, you even come in a little bit early to make sure you get there, and you open the window outside just a little bit, just a little bit. It's an office, we're sitting about this far apart, and there's a window right here, so I come in just a little bit early and I open that window. And then you come in and you see that window open, you kind of furrow your brow and you stare me down, you close the window. Then you get up to get your coffee and I open the window. And then you come back and you close the window. And this happens all day, every day, until we just burn with hatred for one another. Has anyone ever had an interaction like this in your life?
Yes.
Yeah. This is a common theme in the human experience, isn't it? And because we are finite game players, because we don't know about win-win negotiation, because we don't even realize we're negotiating right now over this window, because we suck at communication, and because we could care less about meeting each other's needs, we just keep going back and forth. And then like good Minnesotans, when someone's breaking the rules or doing something you don't like, you report them to the higher authority, right? You don't settle things up person to person, you go talk to the boss. And so you go talk to your boss, and you say, this is outrageous. They keep closing the window. Oh, they keep opening the window. You go back and forth, and finally the boss says, you know what? I just took a management course, and I learned that the apex of leadership is to bring about good compromise. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave the window half open all the time. There you go. I'm glad I could lead you. I'm glad I could serve you. I'm glad I could help you resolve this dispute. Yeah, management. I'm like the spitting image of the perfect middle manager, right? I brought compromise to people who couldn't. And when you fail to enforce my resolution, you came to me and you forfeited your power by taking it to someone else. You gave away all your power. And you wanted my solution. And when you fail to enforce it, because it's a pretty terrible solution, now you're in a fight with me. And I've got to bring in the maintenance man and lock that window half open, right? I've got to enforce this. You could like lose your job over something like this. Let me ask you this. What correlates to your success in corporate America? Is it your outcomes or your performance, or is it whether or not your boss likes you?
Very much like you.
Yeah.
It's a 90% correlation. There's almost zero correlation between your compensation, promotion schedule, happiness, and your outcomes. The only thing that matters is whether or not your boss likes you. So do you think it might be really helpful if you could avoid getting into a situation like this with your boss at work? Fortunately, as agents, we don't have this problem. It's one thing I really adore about our profession. What would be a better way you could handle this situation, the situation we've all found ourselves in? What would be a better way to handle this situation?
Have these two talk about this. Why?
I don't want to. So I'm going to role play the person who wants the window open.
Okay.
I don't want to talk to you. I just want the window open.
I would just like to get down to the bottom of how we can both work together.
Work together? You want the window closed. How can we work together?
But why do you want it open?
That's 3 times now you've asked me why I want the window open. Okay, I'll tell you. I hate this place. I hate this place. I hate it so much. I hate it. When the window's open, I feel like I have just an ounce of freedom. That's the only thing I have control over in this whole place is this stupid window. That's all I need. I just need the window open. And I can breathe. I can feel the breeze come in. I can hear the birds chirp. And when you close the window, it's like you're just crushing the one little piece of me that is left. And I hate you so much for it. And I hate that I hate you so much for it. I'm sorry. I have to have the window open.
I didn't know that. I didn't understand that.
Now you may think this is
Wow.
embellishment and hyperbole.
No, that's real shit.
This is how people act.
Right?
You ask 3 times. You give them permission to open up. And there is a well of passion and consideration just bubbling under the surface. And when you show people that you care, when you never give up on serving another human being, you will never fail to find a solution. You have to ask 3 times. People will fight you. So I want to have control over something. And I'm sorry the window bugs you, and I don't know what to do. What do you want to do? I feel so embarrassed now. It's not appropriate for me to act this way in the office place. I'm sorry about that. What do you want to do?
Well, maybe we can work out a schedule, or I can bring a sweater some days. I get cold as well.
So you don't mind like the breeze or anything like that. You get cold when you're right next. Okay. I actually have a space heater at home. Would you like me to bring that in?
That'd be awesome.
And you know what? Maybe we could like trade places. So like I'm right next to the window. I would actually just feel so amazing just sitting next to the window, so I could just like look straight out the window. Maybe I wouldn't even need to open the window then. Do you think that this little story is fiction?
No.
Do you think that this is far-fetched? Do you think that this technique could totally change every conversation you have with someone where there's a perception of like a win-lose relationship or a conflict? Do you think people are grateful when you confront them?
Not at first.
Not at first.
Not at first. Not at first. They hate your guts. Because I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed at how I feel about this stupid window. But how do you think I look at you when I come in the next day and I've got my space heater, we moved our stuff around?
So
Yeah.
happy.
You're like the best friends.
Magical experience that Nick wants, right? That we all want.
Magic moments. Do you think I'm going to remember this interaction?
Oh, yeah. Does this feel like?
People don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. And moments of intense passion are seared into our memory. And I can promise you, here's an exercise. Can you remember in your life someone who taught you that you're capable of more? A teacher, a coach. What's that person's name? Guess
My mom.
your mom. Lauren.
Jamie.
JD.
Joe Stanich.
Sam. Oh, sorry, you didn't realize you were participating. You're just the cameraman. Jamie.
Tom Hopkins.
Wow. Can anyone here name like the name of their first grade teacher?
Mrs. Walls.
Mrs. Lindquist.
Why?
She made an imprint.
I'm gonna say something bold. So before I said that if you love people, you will be successful in business. If you love your clients and love your customers and love your partners. I would dare say that the measure of your whole life is the number of people you have those magic moments with. You're still alive as long as someone speaks your name. And some people, they devote their whole life to this. Some people get up and give talks to other people about this to try to impact them, help them grow and change and learn. And I think that this is the whole reason we're on this earth. I think this is the sum measure of our value to God, to humanity, whatever you want to call it. I think this is it right here. It's these magic moments. So, can you see why the third alternative is powerful? There is a third alternative to every negotiation. It may seem like it's a one-dimensional negotiation. We only care about price. Really? Why do you care about price so much? What is so sensitive about price? Well, I can't tell you what my seller thinks. Well, could you get permission from your seller to talk about that? Would it make sense for us to, the three of us to sit down and have a meeting? Because I've got a strong offer here, and I think that it's the best offer you're going to get. I think it's the best offer your seller's going to get. And I'd love to get to the bottom of this and figure out how we can all win together. Do you think any listing agent in this community, other than the ones I've dealt with, have ever had a conversation with someone like that before?
No. I've only had that conversation because I've worked with you. No joke.
We're all here to meet needs and solve problems. We're here to find the third alternative. I'm glad you feel that way. Did you want to do business with me again?
Hell yeah.
Do you want to come to my
I
classes?
want you to
and
come to every
buy my
listing I
coaching?
have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you can be that value, literally asking me the questions that you did, for me to internalize how I can have those negotiations with my clients, made it to them understand, okay, we can't keep sitting on this. This makes sense. They might not be as happy as, what they, because some delusions sometimes happen. Mindset, which I tried to control from the beginning. I learned a lot in that transaction, and you were essential.
Absolutely.
And I don't say that to
I
Barbara.
appreciate that credibility check there. This is not a presentation. This is something I practice in my day-to-day life, and I preach it because I practice it. I think you can practice it too. What's a black swan? Anyone tell me what a black swan is?
A rare entity,
A black swan is a rare thing indeed.
but
Anyone ever heard of a black swan before?
All I can think of is
movie?
No, well, yeah, ballet.
Absolutely. So a little bit of history. So I named my company Black Swan Real Estate because I believe in this principle this much. So Black Swan, so the etymology of this is from Nassim Taleb, Black Swan Historical Theory, and his premise. So historians are very meticulous record keepers. That this person did this thing and gave this speech, and these people went there, and then this thing happens. And Nassim believes that is an inappropriate and useless perspective on history. Nassim believes that every event that happens today can typically be explained or predicted with 3 or relatively few black swans. Now, black swan is defined as an event that is monumental in impact, that totally changes everything. And before you encounter it, could never be predicted, and after it occurs, is understood to have been inevitable, and everyone saw it coming, and of course it was going to happen. That is the definition of a black swan. Can anyone think of a black swan event in history?
The crash of 2008?
I mean, tons of people were saying this crash is going to happen, right? And yet somehow it just caught everyone by surprise. And we were writing ninja loans and no-doc loans right up until the very end. And in retrospect, everyone says, well, yeah, of course it happened, right? And the price that you sell your home for today is more directly impacted by the financial crisis of 2008 than any other event. So let's say Mayo, DMC, and 08 determine the price of the home that you list. And everything else is kind of an inconsequential consideration. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Does it make sense? So this is a notion that makes us very uncomfortable because we human beings, we are naturalists. We believe in a natural explanation for all events in the reality that we perceive. So when I was a kid, as a cave baby, I saw a rustling in these bushes over here and a tiger leapt out and ate my mom. And so now, whenever I see a rustling in the bushes, I think there's probably a tiger in there. That tiger event, what kind of event is that? What kind of event is that tiger event?
It's a black swan.
It's a black swan. Tiger eating your mom, that only happens one time. Totally impossible to predict. And you spend the rest of your life trying to anticipate or predict or explain away this thing. We live in a chaotic universe where we have limited capacity to predict events. And as a naturalist, I internalize the changing of the seasons, and the rustling in the bushes over there could mean that there's a prey animal, and 20 times I've seen that there's a prey animal when there's a rustling in the bushes just like that, and therefore I'm able to adequately predict the future, and the naturalist in us is rewarded by evolution or God or whatever you want to call it. But I had this black swan event where the rustling in the bushes means that there's a tiger who's going to eat my mom, even though I don't even have a mom anymore. And it determines so much of the rest of my life, that black swan event. What's a positive black swan event that could occur? So we have the financial crisis, we have tiger eating cave mom.
Maybe meeting your, I don't want to say soulmate, but meeting your
soulmate.
significant other. Or
Meeting your soulmate.
Sure. Okay.
How much of the events of your day-to-day life are dictated by you meeting that one special person? And prospectively, you never anticipated meeting that person. But retrospectively, well, we worked in the same office, and, we worked on that one project together, and, of course, things were going to go the way they did. And so I'm here today. Black swans determine the course of human history, they determine the course of your life, and if you can see black swans for what they are, you will have superhuman capabilities for predicting the future, and for coping with the present, and for internalizing the events of the past. You know what? That tiger ate cave mom, and that tiger's probably never coming again. And if I live my whole life, having nightmares every night, replaying that event in my mind, I'm not really going to have a life worth living. And I need to accept that is never going to happen again. It's impossible for it to happen again. Cave mom's gone. can breathe free and know that this freak incident can never happen again. That's a Black Swan historical theory. So a Black Swan negotiation comes from never split the difference, and that is defined as information you don't know when the negotiation begins, and when you learn it, it changes everything. Who here can tell me when the Black Swan occurred in our window up, window down scenario?
You asked why? Or when you opened up?
When I opened up, that's right. Yep, when she got 3 levels deep and she didn't give up on serving me. And Black Swans in interpersonal communications are often accompanied by tears. That's how you know you're getting to the heart of the matter. They're always accompanied by emotion. Has anyone ever gotten emotional with their negotiation counterparty in a real estate transaction? No? Yeah. Okay. Has anyone ever gotten emotional with their client in a real estate transaction they're negotiating? I hope you have. If you haven't, you're leaving a lot of power on the table that you're forfeiting in the name of professionalism. Is there anything unprofessional about loving your client with appropriate boundaries? Is there anything unprofessional about understanding their emotions and what drives them to make the decisions they make? Not a damn thing. We're told that we have to wear a coat and tie and be emotionally cold and distant, and therefore we'll be professional, and people will thank us for that. That's BS. People want genuine connection. That's all they want. If you love someone and serve them and make a connection with them, they'll buy whatever you're selling. They'll do whatever you ask them to do, because they know that you love them, you care about them, you're not going to lead them wrong. This is how humans are wired. Hasn't changed. The internet, cell phones, social media, these have faked a lot of these things, but they don't change. So when you read a social media story on, so yesterday I read a story on social media. I was at a Tony Robbins event in December, and he spent an entire evening working with a guy who was suicidal. He just tried to kill himself before going to testing. And I was beside myself seeing how much he loved this person. I mean, he was losing the room. People were getting bored, giving up on this guy. I'll be honest, I gave up on this guy. And it wasn't until later on that I realized that Tony didn't care whether or not he lost the room if that meant saving one life. It was a life-changing moment for me. That's just full of emotion. And kept following up with him, and he got a new job and stuff. And then on social media yesterday, I read that he did take his own life. And there's like a Facebook group of all the people who were there, and just devastating. I don't yet know what that means to my life. I had such an intimate connection with this man. I saw every corner of his person. I heard every chapter of his story. I think it honors him that I did.
I don't think enough people reached out to him. I mean, there's a whole group. You said you lost interest. It's like if everybody would have surrounded him with the love, I don't know if he would have. But Tony was, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that other stuff is so powerful and it draws you back into it. It's addictive.
It has to be
Feeling
continuous.
horrible.
Yes,
it's
Because
the
that's
right.
all we've ever known, and you
Right.
introduce something new into that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hard follow at first, you know.
So here's what's happening under the covers. When I was there in person and got to experience that intimate magic moment, my body was coursing with dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine, because when we are building relationship with someone, our caveman brain says, we can rely upon this person, we understand them, we know that we can count on them. And so when a tiger jumps out of the bushes, I can depend on this person to stand shoulder to shoulder with me against that tiger. And it's coursing with oxytocin, which is the oxytocin is the bonding hormone. You get a huge dose of oxytocin when your child is born. That's how you can put up with all their BS for so many years, because you have this connection to them. When you go through a scroll on social media, so when I read on Facebook that Alan had killed himself, I got a hit of sadness, but I also got a hit of oxytocin. because I have an intimate bond with this person who's no longer with us. But usually on your social media feed, you have the mimicry of relationship. And so you get that hit of dopamine because your caveman brain says, I can rely on this person, but it's not really true, is it? This person you just read about their new baby on social media, could you call this person for help if you were broke down on the side of the road and needed a ride home? Could you call upon them if you needed, financial help, or someone to watch your kids, or someone to take care of an errand while you're in the hospital? Absolutely not. And so there is no oxytocin. What also generates a dopamine response with no oxytocin response? What?
Like or share or comment?
Well, no, think of something else in our modern society that you think might generate a dopamine hit with no oxytocin hit. McDonald's is giving away free Egg McMuffins today because Wendy's is muscling on their turfs. Methamphetamine's hitting the market, so we're giving away the heroin for free today. Pornography, alcohol, drugs, they all generate a dopamine response with no oxytocin hit. Addiction is chemically characterized as dopamine without oxytocin. What do you think the antidote to addiction is?
Oxytocin?
Oxytocin is the antidote to addiction. Why do you think the 12-step programs work?
Because they use oxytocin.
It is a synthetic experience designed to create intimacy and give you a hit of oxytocin. Because we know that when people are flooded with oxytocin, they no longer have that unmet need from getting that hit of dopamine without that hit of oxytocin that goes with it. So when you sit across someone's table from them in their house and you make a sincere connection with them, you are meeting their needs in the chemical sense. Not just the spiritual sense, but the chemical sense. And you could be curing them of their addiction to drugs or alcohol or porn or whatever their thing is. And you may not know it, because all that person needs is honest to God connection in their lives. And it is something that we are all so hungry for today. It is something that is devoid from our existence. People now, on average, per day spend more than 2 hours on social media and less than 2 hours with their friends and family in intimate one-on-one connection. That just flipped this year. It used to be 4 hours per day with your friends and family, 0 hours on social media. Now it's just over 2 hours on social media and less than 2 hours per day with your friends and family. We're creating a nation of depressed, suicidal addicts. I wonder when we're going to figure this out. So if you can master black swans, if you can get to the heart of the matter, if you can build an intimate connection with someone, you can serve them in the truest way a human being can serve another. Do you think that it's hard to figure out price and terms when someone trusts you and you have an intimate connection with them? Whatever, just give me some paperwork to sign. I know you've got this. I know that you know so much more about this than I do. I know you have my best interests in mind, and whatever offers come in, just let me know and I'll sign the best one. This is what's going to get me to Florida for my mom. Black swans. So we talked a lot about high-level concepts. I hope you've got a lot of mileage out of this. We're 1 hour in. We've still got a long ways to go. Is everyone feeling pretty good? Do we need a break?
5-minute bathroom break?
Let's take a 5-minute bathroom break. And then let's get real.
Quick.
So we talked a lot about high-level concepts here. Has everyone here maybe shifted their paradigm of thinking a little bit on what negotiation is? All right. So don't let me bait and switch you, and you come here hoping to get some cool negotiation tactics, and then we just talk about like a sermon or something like that. So let's get real. What does this look like in real life? So again, a lot of this stuff is stolen from Never Split the Difference. I hope you all go read the book, life-changing book. 2 words that can change your whole life. 2 words that change every negotiation. 2 words that change every interaction. That's right. Is there anything that anyone feels strongly about in this room that they want to talk about? So we went 3 levels deep, right, in our exercise about the window. This person who is now pouring their heart out for you, they need one thing. And what's that one thing?
Reassurance
Reassurance. What might be another word for that?
or validation.
Validation, that's right. Validation. This is the most vulnerable time for me. All my guards are dropped. This is who I really am inside. What are you going to do? Make your move. There's a lot of things you could say. What are some things you could say to a person who talks about how they just hate this place and they feel trapped and they don't have control over anything?
What can I do to help you?
It's pretty good.
How can I be here for you?
It's pretty good.
All those types. Ask it again, different ways. Get the
Absolutely.
answer.
Absolutely. Statistically speaking, these are the two words you say. That's right. That's right. I think that you should read the book Never Split the Difference over and over and over again until you say the words "that's right" at least 100 times per day. That's how powerful these words are. I told you that the only thing people want are connection. They want validation. They want to feel a sense that someone understands them. And "that's right" are the two magic words that communicate that more efficiently than anything else. You could say, "I love you, I care about you, you're right, I understand what you're saying." No! Who cares what you feel? What matters is how I feel. So what's the one thing I want to hear when I'm pouring my heart out to you?
That's right.
That's right. You're darn right that's right. My feelings are the only feelings that matter in this whole universe right now. And they are right. There are no wrong feelings, by the way. There could be irrational feelings. Most feelings are very irrational. There could be feelings that are creepy and make your hair stand on end. But until you stay in curiosity and stay out of judgment and validate those feelings, you cannot influence that person. Until they know deep in their core soul that you accept the person they are, they will never be open to change. And that just becomes a negotiation. The things people say, do they have anything to do with what people really think or feel?
Not a lot of times. Moms.
Rarely.
Yeah.
Rarely. Does this dress make me look fat? Do I care if this dress makes me look fat?
No, I care what the other person's answer is going to be, what they think.
Do you love me? Are you attracted to me?
Correct.
Do you think I'm a good leader? Do I care if you think do I care if I am actually a good leader? I'm sorry, I messed that up. I accidentally overplayed my hand there, a little too much intimacy. Am I a good leader? Do I care if I'm actually a good leader? Maybe, if I'm a good leader, hopefully I do. But more than anything, I want to know that you think I'm a good leader,
Right.
that you support me, that you validate me. This sounds like a Jedi mind trick, and that's because it is. I promise you that you are blind to what most people are telling you in your life most of the time. 90% of the communication that people have with you, they are just seeking validation. They are not solving a problem. They certainly could care less about how you feel when they say, "How's it going?" All they want is validation. We're going to do our calls here pretty soon, and I dare you, I challenge you to write down just a few things. So when I start a meeting, I'll often write down at the top of my pen and paper, people don't remember what you say. People remember how you make them feel. It sounds absurd, but if you call them back tomorrow and ask for their honest opinion about what you talked about, they will not remember. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but it's true. I write down, "That's right." And I say it over and over and over and over again. And I mirror. That's the third thing I write down. Who here knows what mirroring is? John. What is mirroring? There you go.
What is mirroring?
Yeah, you're thirsty. You need to go get a drink, don't you? It works. It's disturbing how well it works. And until you try it, it cannot change your life. So I'm going to make sure that you try it today. I'm going to take a drink of water again, John.
somebody sits at your desk like this, do it.
It's uncanny, I know. So there's a famous like Harvard experiment. You can look up videos of it. And so there's a speaker speaking to the class, and the class is prepped in advance. It's a guest speaker, and they say, reward the speaker with attention anytime they stand at the front of the room, and the closer they get to being out the door, reward them with attention the closer they get to being out the door, and just kind of like casually ignore them when they're standing at the front of the room. So you're kind of, losing people here. You don't know why. You don't know why the crowd's not very into it. You start walking around in the crowd, and it's uncanny. Eventually, the speaker subconsciously will be giving a talk from outside the room. I know this sounds ridiculous, but this is scientific fact. This is the power of mirroring. I will give a whole talk to you from out here, having no clue that this is ridiculous, having no conscious awareness of the fact that I'm not even in the room, just because I'm keyed into the fact that you are not mirroring me when I'm standing at the front. Mirroring can allow you to change the way people feel. When you broadcast energy and passion and authenticity and excitement, what impact does that have on people?
They start to feel it, bring it on.
That's
for
right.
themselves.
That's right. They will subconsciously mirror you. And so being aware of that can be potently powerful, but more powerful still is being consciously aware of mirroring how you mirror other people. One of my agents went out to a listing appointment. It's a competitive listing appointment. It's in Lewiston. It's a rural property. It's a hobby farm. He literally got changed out of his dress clothes, got on some work clothes, got his Carhartt jacket on, brought some written papers, checked his cell phone. That's correct.
It's like he told us this. Remember.
That's good. That's good. Well, that's how you know it's true. This stuff works. It sounds a little condescending or pedantic or something that you would put on a Carhartt jacket to go do a sales presentation at a farm, right? But what does that farmer think and feel when you step onto his farm in your $200 dress shoes?
He thinks you're an idiot.
You don't have a
He
clue.
thinks you're an idiot, and you don't know what
You're not
he's
here
doing.
the element.
Yeah, all of those things. You are clueless. And you can be much more powerful still. So we're going to do some calls here in a minute. Everyone here needs to call. Everyone here needs to call. And I dare you to mirror. And mirroring is not just a physical thing, it's a verbal thing. No. Yes. So tone, cadence, pitch. Are you using upward or downward inflection? You have a drawl. If you're, if I'm out in the country, I might take the drawl for a little tour. See how his land's doing. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Makes them feel at ease. Disarms them. Ambush them with your transparency and your consideration. Now I'm getting a little too southern. Sorry about that. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds like a magic trick that you'd use on kids at a birthday party, but it's not. It's you having the conscious consideration to communicate with them in a way they understand and making them feel in the fiber of their being that you get them. Because you may be able to just ask why a few times to get to the core of their driving emotions. But if you use it with the wrong phrasing, the wrong tonality, the wrong cadence, you're dressed the wrong way, you're driving the wrong car. I drive around in a minivan. I traded in my Escalade, literally, and got a minivan because I don't ever want someone to see an Escalade roll up in their driveway. Everyone understands the minivan. They kind of have a silent pity for the dad in the minivan, don't they? Like,
Yes.
oh,
It's not silent.
Yes, it's not silent, that's right. And they may not say it, but yeah. It builds rapport almost instantly. Everyone loves talking about kids. Well, still some people don't. And everyone wants to do business with the man in the minivan. Doesn't matter what kind of business it is. You almost have reciprocity walking into the conversation like, oh, I know you're exhausted and don't have enough time. Let's get this paperwork wrapped up real quick. Mirroring is also a verbal thing. And I dare you to do it for a day. Like, write it on the back of your hand, put a 5-minute reminder on your phone to go off every 5 minutes to mirror people. I challenge you tomorrow or for the rest of today to go mirror people. And you will be a little insulted at how shallow most human interactions are and how naked people are about their needs. So let's do a quick little exercise. Who has something they want to talk about? Who has something they're passionate about? John, hey, what are you passionate about, John? And this is a question you can ask people.
I was on the telephone with a lady from Georgia.
Georgia.
And we were having a great conversation like this. Do you want to do a referral for your relative right here in Rochester, Minnesota?
Rochester?
All of these things. And she said, could I interrupt you for a moment? And I says, yes, you may. And she says, I can tell you're from Minnesota. And I says, how can you tell I'm from Minnesota? She says, it's the way you talk.
The way you talk?
I said, really? She said, I'm just going to share one thing with you. She says, we from Georgia, we hear as fast as we speak. You talk really fast.
How fast is that?
You heard my conversation, I'm from Minnesota. Do you want to do some real estate? Let's do the deal right now. That's how fast I speak. She said, I can only hear as fast as I speak her. People from Georgia can hear as fast as they speak to each other. They're used to that conversation. Okay?
What kind of conversation?
We speak very quickly here in Minnesota because it gets cold and it gets hot. That's our two seasons. Okay? So it reminds me when I talk to people with an accent or from a different location in the United States to mirror their, I don't have to mimic. I'm from Georgia.
That's right.
Okay? I just need to speak at the speed that they speak.
That's right.
That's it.
That's a really good job. That's really good. Did anyone see anything that I did?
So that's right, when you were near the end of the words, it almost made him, or it would give the impression to him that you are listening.
That's right. Most people almost never listen. What are they doing?
Thinking about what they want to say
Right.
next.
They're waiting for their turn to speak. It's a really sad state of affairs. So, yeah, I physically mimicked John. I paced around just a little bit, just like he was doing. Mimicked his tone and cadence. Not out here grilling him about his story about slow talking, easy listening Southerners, who are beautiful people, by the way. God, I love them. Now, always know where you stand with them. And so he walked away with no intellectual impression of me, but I promise he had a full emotional impression of me that I listened and I cared. I said, that's right. I just repeated like the last couple of words that he said, or would draw out the key, message from that last sentence. The fewer words you speak, the better. You need to mirror them non-verbally. You need to mirror their tone and cadence. And then, again, when you practice this, it will be truly insulting to you how quickly you can get to the core of what people are all about. And when you sincerely care about what they have to express, it will save you a lot of time, let's just say that, in your communications with other people. And when people know that you care about them, a funny thing happens. They actually care about you too. It's unavoidable. It's inescapable. It's how humans are wired. So we're going to do some calls here in just a minute. Mirror neurons, they're unbelievably powerful. I would say they are supernatural. If there is something that I know about scientifically in the human body right now that fills me with a spiritual awe, it's mirror neurons. And these are what allow us to mimic what other people do. Confers a little bit of an evolutionary advantage that I have the ability to just kind of look very closely at what you're doing right there. And when I watch it, my motor cortex is firing. My brain is rehearsing what I see Lauren doing. And when I go to do it, I pick up and I do this subconsciously. I pick up a writing instrument, and I can I almost don't even have to look, because my motor cortex has already rehearsed it over and over and over and over again. And so those mirror neurons are what make it so that you can push a presenter out of the room and can get people excited with your passion. When you are passionate, when you are high energy, and people see another human being doing that in their immediate physical presence, they start getting more adrenaline and more human growth hormone and more blood sugar and insulin going, and they get excited. Physiologically, there's a response. Let me ask you this. We take two groups of people and we say, one group of people, we want you to practice 100 free throws, and the other group of people, we want you to watch some people make free throws and visualize you making those free throws. And we do this for an hour. And so one group practices for an hour, and one group visualizes for an hour and observes other people successfully making free throws. And then we do a free throw challenge. You shoot 20 free throws. Who has a higher completion percentage?
Visual.
The visual people. Now, obviously, there's a big setup for this, but intuitively, you would think that it would be the people who practiced, right? You're activating your motor cortex, you're myelinating the neurons, you're kind of dialing in where you are in time and space. But the people who visualized it, they know exactly what success looks like. And the first time they actually shoot in the moment, they're way off. And then they get closer and closer between aligning their motor cortex with like actual spatial results and what they visualized and rehearsed in their head, and then they make every shot. Mirror neurons are incredibly powerful. They are the source of all human empathy. Because we know that if we watch our buddy get eaten by a tiger, we feel them getting eaten. You cannot turn motor neurons off. They are firing all the time. They're looking at all the people around you thinking, what are these people doing? How are they acting? How are they feeling? Because I might be in their situation soon. Because I might need to do the thing that they're doing. Because I might need to experience the thing that they're experiencing. So your human brain, anytime you're with another person, whether you like it or not, because sometimes you don't, it is experiencing the world through their eyes. And this is something that is, again, if you can shoot free throws better by watching someone else than by doing it yourself, just imagine what else you might be able to achieve in your life. Do you think you could sell some real estate?
Yeah.
Do you think you could create a level 7 team? Do you think you could win a negotiation? Do you think that you could make sure that your significant other knows in the core of their being that you love them? Conscious awareness of the power of motor neurons is a superpower. Both understanding how when someone else cries, you get misty, and how when you get jacked up and try and inspire others, they have an unstoppable just drive to meet your energy level and to behave the way you behave. Let's do one more exercise before we do some calls here. Let me check actually another slide. Perfect. One more thing. So let's do a phone call, because that's where this all begins. Text message and email and stuff are 1% effective communication mediums. Face-to-face, if that's 100%, then phone is, 50% or something like that. Phone is really good, and you need to love talking on your phone if you want to connect with people. So let's simulate a phone call, because you're about to do some phone calls, so we're going to do some mirror neuron work here, right? Mm-hmm. So who wants to give me a call? Lauren. Sure.
Ring, ring, ring.
Hey, how's it going, Lauren?
Good, how are you, Nick?
Oh, I'm doing okay.
Just okay?
Yeah, I mean, what just happened?
You made them think about something else.
I matched your tone, your speed, your volume.
And you
and
said the last
asked
word I
why.
said. You asked why. You fucking nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. You just won this phone call. How many words were exchanged?
Three.
You just won the phone call. Doesn't even matter what we talk about.
You want to do another one?
I do.
Okay. Ring, ring. Hey, Nick, this is Lauren. Did I catch you at a good time?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you got going on?
Oh, I just stepped out of a meeting for a second. What's up?
Well, I just wanted to check in with you. It's been a while since we chatted. I know that, you know.
Sorry, you just lost the phone call. Why'd you lose the phone call?
Because I didn't have an intention of why I was calling.
It wasn't about you. I stepped out of a meeting, your voice was down,
With my
and
words
she went.
and my tone
I didn't know
and
how
my
to
cadence,
respond, yeah.
I said, yeah, you caught me at a good time. I just stepped out of a meeting. What am I screaming at you?
I don't have time for this right now.
That's right. Go away.
Which is why I'm stumbling and I'm like.
Let's try it again. Hey,
Hey, Nick. It's Lauren. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Doing okay.
Why don't you ask me, did I catch you at a good time?
Did I get you at a good time?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you got going on?
I just stepped out of a meeting. What's up?
Sounds like you might be busy.
Sounds like you might be busy. Oh, I'm so glad you picked up on these nonverbal cues that I'm giving you. Yeah, I am actually pretty busy right now. Could we do this another time?
Yeah, how about 4 o'clock today? Would that work?
Let me check my calendar. Yeah, 4 o'clock looks great. I look forward to hearing from you then. Thanks so much. Bye. You just won that phone call. Let me ask you this. What if they say, no, I don't have my calendar in front of me. Let's chat some other time. Did you win or lose the phone call?
Still open.
It's still open.
Yeah,
You
you
can set
could
the
say-
time up for when's a good time for you.
I
Would it be-
could call.
What's our objective on these calls? What's our objective in all of our human,
An appointment.
Just make that a connection.
and that's very masculine of you. What's our objective?
Relationship.
Relationship. What have we been talking about here today? What are we trying to accomplish?
Value, establishing a value.
Establishing
So,
rapport.
You could say, would it be a value to you if I called you back later to set up a time to visit?
Oh, that's
Would it
good.
be
Y'all should write that
helpful?
one down. Would it be helpful? That's really good. Would it be helpful to you if I called you back? I called you, so we know it's helpful to me. But when I step out and say, would it be helpful to you if we spoke again later today? So the purpose of all these interactions is to build rapport and to demonstrate that I care about you, that I listen to you, that your needs come first. And you can do it on a 15-second phone call. What happens the next time my phone rings and I see your number pop up, and the last time I said, yeah, I can talk right now. I just stepped out of a meeting, and you take the call. What happens the next time you call?
You won't answer.
I won't answer. We are hosed. We've burned a bridge. What happens if the last time we spoke on the phone, I said, sorry, I can't talk right now, and you honored that?
You're more likely to answer again.
You're much more likely to answer. Much more likely to answer. Absolutely. You win the phone call. When you demonstrate that you care about people, here is what you want to visualize. Maybe write this down. The outcome of this phone call is the next time they see my name pop up on their caller ID, I'm happy. I'm excited to see that number pop up on my caller ID, and I'm excited to answer that call. Jesse Itzler, he's a famous serial entrepreneur, billionaire, and every day he tries to send out a minimum of 3 gratitude text messages. There's no ask, there's no business, there's just, hey man, I haven't talked to you in like 6 months. I saw something on social media, I just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate all the things that you do. You know, we don't get a chance to talk very much, but I know that my life is better because you're a part of it. Do you think people are happy when they see their phone ring 6 months later? Do you think they're going to take that call? This is powerful stuff. Our outcome today is not to do business. Maybe business comes about, and you should not ever escape a conversation without having John Buckingham level, unashamed ability to ask for the business. Man, it's been so great catching up with you today. Hey, do you know anyone who needs to buy or sell a house? Oh, you do? Shoot! Well, I'm so glad I called you. What a coincidence. I buy or sell houses. I help people with it. What a coincidence. But it's the last thing on your mind. It's always in the conversation, but it's the last thing. the first thing you say when you pick up the phone is, did I catch you at a bad time? Why?
Because it may be a bad time.
It may be a bad time. Why would you never say it's garbage? Why is this a garbage thing to say when you pick up the phone? I guarantee you do it 10 times a day right now. Why is this worthless?
Because they think you're a
Gives them an out.
salesperson.
That's what all the salespeople say.
Yep.
What are salespeople trained to do when they start a script? It's probably in our scripts. What are salespeople trained to do, Jamie, when they start a script?
Well, I never say that, because
Good.
all it does is it gives them a chance to say, yeah, bad time, I'm out of here, boom.
Well, I think that's a good outcome. I think that's a very good outcome. What's the worst thing that can happen to you as a salesperson?
You already said an establishment that you're trying to get something from them.
You want something at a time.
You want some of their
Trying
time.
to sell
That's
them
right.
something.
Something.
That's right, yep. So most salespeople are trained to get to yes, to start with yes, to get people in the habit of saying yes. Most scripts are yes scripts, right? It's worthless. Yes is worthless. Yes is maybe. Yes is, will this get me off the phone call? No lights up an fMRI. When you put a person under an fMRI and you call them on the phone in the fMRI, I don't know how you do that, and you say, did I catch you at a good time? They say, yeah. And there's no activity. When you pick up the phone and you say, did I catch you at a bad time? You will notice the conversation skips a beat. And they'll say, no, actually this is okay. What have they just done for you?
Give you permission to continue the conversation.
They have given you permission. You got their brain engaged. They're not just trying to get off this call and be polite. You have given them an explicit out on this phone call, out of the gate. And now whatever it is that you want to accomplish, they have given you permission, both consciously and subconsciously. That's a critical piece here. When you get to know, that's when the negotiation begins. Yes is meaningless. Yes is meaningless. No lights up an fMRI. It activates the brain. No makes decisions. Yes is powerless. No gets people feeling, not just thinking. Information makes people think, emotion makes people act. Your sales scripts should all be no scripts. When you A/B test these scripts, the no script has 10 times better fundraising outcomes than the yes script. I asked you before, what's the worst outcome for a salesperson?
No recurrent business.
Losing a recurring business. Perfect answer. That's the exact answer I was looking for. What's the second worst possible outcome? So that's why you say, did I catch you at a bad time? You want to get them an out, get them off the phone, make sure that you are not bothering them, and they might take your phone call in the future. What's the second worst outcome that can happen for a salesperson, for a person who's 100% commission based?
They tell all their friends how negative their experience was with you.
Sure.
Okay. How
Yeah.
what you were going for.
Yeah, that's really good. Wasting time. Wasting time is what I'm fishing for there. No gets you off the phone. It gets them off the phone. It's a win-win for both people to get off the phone. Yes?
Yep.
All right. Does everyone feel prepared to do, let's do 10 minutes of calling. I'm going to insist that every person in this room make at least one call. They don't need to be fast calls. And what are you going to tell people on the phone? What are you going to do for them?
Provide value.
Provide value, lead with value. What are the three mechanics we talked about here?
That's right.
That's right.
Mirror
Mirror.
and bad time.
Did I catch you at a bad time? Let's do it. We're going to get back here at 11:31 sharp, and I want to have shares from everybody on what their experiences were.
I want to ask you a couple questions.
Y'all ready to done?
Well, I want to make sure you have time to do your call.
I was helping a new recruit call expired listings, okay? And it was down by St. Charles. So I called her up and I said,
I just saw you got the expired on Northwest Rochester, just west Highway 52 north of Walmart.
I did.
So you must know something about this. What do you figure? That person got a call from like 100 agents?
No, I asked her
And
how
John
many
was the
agents
one?
called, and she said, not very many, believe it or not. okay?
Because everybody thought.
So this one I called at St. Charles, ring, ring, ring. Beatrice, this is John Buckingham, Keller Williams Real Estate, how are you? I'm doing just fine. I called because your house came off the market, and you've had it on 2 other times with a couple other realtors. And I said, I've only got 2 questions to ask you. She said, okay. I said, first question is, when I sell your property, where are you gonna move?
Good.
She said, I'm so sick and tired of mowing this 3 acres. My husband bought me a brand new John Deere lawnmower and I'm afraid I'm gonna tip it over in the ditch. And I said, why are you mowing the lawn? She said, I asked another question. She said, because he's allergic to grass clippings. He just developed that allergy. I said, why are you gonna move? She said, I wanna buy a townhome in St. Charles. I said, we can take care of that. She said, what was your second question? I said, what time works for you on Tuesday? 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock? Bernie! He can't hear, I'm sorry. I can hear, she's, Bernie! He said he could be here at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. I could hear him in the background, he said, I'm not sure if that'll work. She said, it'll work. He'll be here. I said, I'll only take 20 to 30 minutes at the most. If we can't do any business, then I said, I'll get up and I'll be out of your hair.
That's a master's class right there. What did John ask?
When I sell your property,
When
where are
is-
you going to move? Or can I, well, first he asked permission to ask questions.
He asked permission. He got permission. Just 2 questions. And he said, where do you want to go? Yeah. And then what was the other question? The accidental question.
Well, the accidental question was,
Why?
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 Why? I wonder if you're the first agent that knows that her husband is now allergic to grass clippings.
Probably.
I wonder if that gives you a little bit of an advantage in meeting their needs. Who else had a really good call?
I have a lifelong friend that has been going through some of the emotional upheaval that you kind of touched on earlier with that other person. And I know that he's in that mindset. And so I've scheduled a meeting with him this week to have dinner and be there for him.
Absolutely.
Oh, and he might need to buy a house at some point in time because he hasn't bought one before.
So we're on that lead funnel.
But I don't care about that. I care about my friend Jimmy that I've known since first grade.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Similar. I called someone and my motivation was to touch base and find out about them and how they're doing. And so we do have an appointment or a setup for dinner coming up here soon.
It's beautiful. Jessica?
I touched base with a friend who didn't know I was getting into real estate. She was shocked and she's like, well, it's right up your alley. And she goes, too bad my nephew just signed with somebody else or something. I was like, whoa, okay, well, so late, but.
So who else do you know that I could help? Great.
Right.
Dennis, I think you had a good one.
Yeah, I talked to this gentleman that is, he's looking to, well, originally the conversation started out with that I was a real estate agent, blah, blah, blah. I gave him his card, he gave me his card, and then he said, no, this doesn't have my cell phone number on it, so I'll put that on it. And then he also put his Gmail account on the card also. And I said, he said, me and my wife are waiting until the end of the construction season to see what all's been built. And I said, why would you do that? And he said, oh, we want to see what's out there. And I said, you can have one built for you. He said, oh, I don't know if I can afford it. I said, they said, you can, if you can afford the new builds, you can afford to have one built for you. I said, plus you can have it built the way you want it. He said, oh, really? Okay, well, yeah, I'll chit chat with you sometime. So I called him today and he says,
What was the game-changing moment in that conversation?
Why?
Why? Why? You could say, well, let's just get you one right away. Or there's a lot of things you could say to answer that objection. Please stop answering objections. That's small ball crap. We meet needs. We ask why. Oh, I see. And I don't know if you use that tonality on the phone, but why would you do that? Like, you don't want to have that kind of tone.
and this was when we were
But-
in person. So,
Mhm.
and that set up the phone call for today. And then today he was with his child because his wife has a very profitable online business, and he said, I said, is
Sounds like
is
they can
now-
afford a big
is now
house.
a bad time? Because I could hear the kid in the background, and he says, yeah, my wife's plugged in, and I'm kind of here with my kids. I said, I don't want to interrupt you with your kids. I said, let me give you a call back here later on this afternoon. When do you think is going to be a good time?
I'm gonna do one better. Is now a bad time? Very good, very good. When would now be a good time? It's a little confusing, and it skips a beat, right? It's just like saying, did I catch you at a bad time? When would now be a, this afternoon. Anything to get people thinking, engaged. Most people, when they get a phone call, especially from someone they know is in the business, they just want to get off the call. You got to get their brain turned on. So, is now a good time? That's pretty good. Is now a bad time? I actually might like that. Did I catch you at a bad time? I like that better, actually. I'm going to start using that. And then the bookends to that one is, when would now be a good time? And what's a feature of that statement? Well, when would now be a good time?
Now,
2:30 p.m.
There's a feature, there's a sophisticated sales feature to that.
it sounds grammatically incorrect to me, so the word now jumps out at me, because you're asking when, and you're also saying now.
You've got bad grammar in that sentence. It's a nonsensical sentence.
I don't
And your
like
mind is fixated on the word
Now.
now. That's an embedded command. And there's like a 20% chance when you say, when would now be a good time, they're going to say, I guess now actually is a good time right now. Embedded commands. I'm not getting into embedded commands here. That's a whole other talk, but powerful stuff.
So I tried to do that script right now with a previous client of mine that expired, and I want to get relisted, actually with John, and he's a rural land property. And I asked her, is now a bad time? Did I catch you at a bad time? No, she's at work, she puts me on hold, I can hear her talking to other people in the background. I know she's not gonna be focused on me, so I then led with your next question of, it sounds like you're really busy right now, is it okay, would it be helpful if I called you after you're off work tonight? Yep, I won't be home until, about 7, okay, perfect, I'll call you after 7, thanks, Lori.
It's very good. I actually don't like the verbiage of me calling you.
Okay,
I would use verbiage of, would it be valuable to you if we spoke later today? Because there's an unspoken commitment there that they're going to take your call. Whereas if you say, is it okay if I call you, they may not take your call.
so would you say, but I wanna make sure they know that they aren't the one that has, like,
No, absolutely. You need to make it clear that you are calling them.
okay, so after I'll say, okay, I'll call you then.
But yeah, you want to say, would it be valuable to you if we schedule a time later today? If you say the word schedule, that implies a lot of commitment.
Okay.
And one step better, I always send people like a Google Calendar invite, so they typically are going to get like a pop-up on their phone saying, 10 minutes from now, Nick is going to give you a call. I use a tool called Calendly that lets people block a time on my calendar, which helps people a lot in terms of taking pressure off that, so they can say, okay, I'm going to choose when we meet. And now they've given me total permission to have this meeting. There's a lot of ways to approach that. Excellent stuff. Jamie, you have a share?
I think I know what my wrong
Oh.
numbers.
Okay, that's fair.
I left a couple messages, but I'm hopeful with the people I did call.
What kind of message did you leave?
There's one lead that I have that she's prepared to get pre-qualified with the lender, and we talked about setting up an appointment, so I was just trying to take that next step to
That's very
actually
good.
setting that appointment.
That's very good.
And another was a personal friend of mine who is going to be looking and trying to prepare to get pre-qualified, and I want to try to help guide him.
Trying to prepare to get pre-qualified.
Yeah, so
Let's get rid of some of those words
he's got
in that
some
sentence.
credit things that he has expressed to me that.
It's the best time of all to talk to a lender. Figure out
Right,
exactly where you
yeah,
stand.
that's where I want
Yep.
to try to guide him.
Why is it so critical to get the meeting with the lender?
Because that sets you up a baseline, where you sit.
There's no commitment to buy. You merely want to know what options you have. Maybe you can buy a $500,000 home, you don't realize it. Maybe you're hosed, maybe your identity got stolen. So a lender meeting is not a pre-sales meeting. It's an opportunity to lead with value. And now if you have a rock star lender in your corner like you should, who's amazing at follow-ups, you get them into their CRM and their lead pipeline, now you've got a couple people following up. You need to make sure you're not hounding them or anything like that.
Right.
Absolutely, getting them into a meeting with a mortgage broker, loan originator, is a pure value proposition that you can offer. And I am deliberate in like helping to set the appointment and stuff like that because I want to be part of that value that they experience.
And with him, it's more about, you know, keeping connected as on a friend level, you know,
There you go.
before all else, because we kind of fall away from each other, and that is true with all friends, right? Like, you don't keep in communication, years can go by.
So people don't like calling, right? That's why it's such a discipline item here anything. People don't like calling. Why?
They're afraid of rejection.
What's there to reject?
Like being said no to.
What the person you're calling? What are they say? What are they saying no to?
You as a human, it can be perceived that way. That would
Absolutely.
be the wrong mindset to be in.
Are you selling someone something when you call them?
No.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: in your lifetime, how many times has a Coca-Cola been sold to you?
Too many.
Not usually, no, because I'm looking for a Coca-Cola.
Oh, because you're the buyer.
Nobody's sold me,
Nobody's.
No one's ever sold you a Coke, have they?
Unless you ask the waitress, is it okay if I order a Coke?
They say no, we
No.
don't have Pepsi.
I bet they didn't say, "Hey, we've got a great deal on Coke today. If you buy a Coke right now, sign the con." No one's ever sold you a Coke. Most powerful marketing organization on earth. They've never once sold you a damn thing. They might persistently remind you and follow up with you about the fact that they have the best product in the market. And at a time in the future when you're thirsty and you have a need that they can meet, they're there for you. There's going to be a refrigerator case nearby, and you can go get a Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola started out as a methadone supplement to help people get off of opioids, by the way. So if that gives you some idea of what you're getting when you get the 64-ounce big gulp of it, unless you're addicted to opioids, I think you probably shouldn't do that. Calling's awesome. I like talking to people on the phone because I don't have anything to sell them. Now it's true you could get rejected personally if they don't answer, but when you reach out to people with gratitude, people smile when they see your number pop up on their phone. That makes me feel good. I'm a social connector. I just got Dennis in touch with John so John could sell his house and Dennis could get a complete fulfillment for his buyer. I don't get a darn thing out of that, but I do need a 30% referral fee. And it makes me feel great, they feel great. Why would anyone... Tim, you want to learn about negotiation?
He's got his
Do you want to learn about negotiation?
I'm just going to a little meeting,
Okay.
otherwise I would.
All right. Just thought I'd let you know. I've got value to offer in the marketplace, and if you ever need it, I'm here for you.
Sounds good. But I've been married for 25 years, so I've done plenty of
All right.
negotiating.
Have you kids?
You just ask my wife.
Absolutely. See, he's aware that negotiation is happening all the time, and that's why he excels at it.
My youngest.
Absolutely. Is there anyone here who is dreading making phone calls?
More than he thinks.
Sincerely, you're
Yes.
dreading making phone calls?
Yeah.
All right, I don't want to single you out, and if you don't want to have an intervention here, we don't have to.
It's just not something I have a ton of experience in, you know, I'm better with the face-to-face and email, text message. That's the generation I grew up in. None of my friends do phone calls, they'll reject a phone call and text.
That's why it's so powerful. That's why it's so powerful, right? Imagine if you were the first person doing email ad stuff in 1990. That'd be really powerful. Imagine if you were the last person on earth making phone calls and connecting with people and creating real connection and intimacy. That'd be pretty powerful, wouldn't it? The most successful marketing organizations on earth, they're doing direct mail now because everyone's flooded the space. I do direct mail. I do direct mail, and then I call them and say, hey, did you get my piece of mail? That's not a phone call people hang up on. When I look at you, I see a person full of warmth.
Yeah.
Does anyone think this man has like a malevolent bone in his body?
No.
No, not at all. And I promise you, if you just call people and just talk to them, like they're going to want to do business with you. You are the person that everyone wants to do business with. You are the person who is absent from today's marketplace.
That's 100%.
The words are, what can I do to help you today? That's the thought. What can I do to help you today?
Hmm.
That's the phone call.
Do you think that's true? Do you think that you have value to offer people?
Absolutely.
That's it?
Yeah. Definitely.
God, that's a beautiful smile. That's a beautiful laugh. Think about that the next time you make a call. I promise you, people will pick up the phone and they will be happy to hear your voice. That is all anybody wants today, is someone with a smile on their face, an honest to God smile on their face, to reach out to them and make a connection. Who cares if they do business with you? Make sure it comes up. Be shameless about asking for what you want, but just love them, serve them, care for them, lead with value. Let's say 5 years from now you're not a real estate agent, because statistically speaking, you won't be. Will you look back on today's call and be grateful you made it?
Absolutely.
Will you have strengthened the bond? They're going to be someone who's going to stand shoulder to shoulder with you against that tiger. They know they can depend on you, and you know that you can depend on them. What if you're selling 10 years from now insurance or golf clubs or whatever? Do you think that phone call today will be valuable? Doesn't matter what value you have to offer in the marketplace. People are hungry for connection, and they'll buy whatever you're selling. What have I done here I'm really sorry, what's your name? What have I done here talking to Seth?
You mirrored it.
You validated him.
This is the first time I've sat down all day. Validated.
You showed the truth.
You connected.
Would you like to buy something from me?
No.
Sure.
What can I do to provide you with value right now? Is it getting up and
Hey,
getting out of your face here?
us with a ton of value, so.
I'm glad to hear that.
Absolutely.
Are you looking forward to making your next call? Sincerely, if you're not,
No, I truly am. It's, I have had this broken phone for weeks and months, actually.
Your phone is
And I
broken?
just
Not
got
anymore.
a
Okay.
one like last week, so.
that is going to make it hard to make calls.
So, yeah, I've been trying to shift from, the repeated messaging people to actually calling, and now it's just trying to get my database straightened out in my phone because nothing transferred over correctly, so
That's right.
I got all that fun stuff.
So you're lucky because you're starting from square one.
Yeah,
And
that's
you can
kind of,
add your database in your phone at the same time as you build it in Command.
yeah,
So if you think of it from that mindset,
I like
you're in the
that.
perfect spot to start this business.
How many contacts do you have in your database, really?
My database being my phone, I think.
No,
I had-
in Command.
Oh,
in whatever
Command,
system you have for
maybe
tracking
maybe
contacts.
8 or 9. Like, because I've been trying to keep just real leads in there.
No. Well, you remember the lead funnel? What % of people are going to do business with you eventually? What percent?
Like, it was 80, 70, maybe
90.
90.
90% of every person you talk to will do business with you eventually. But you're not going to do business with them if they're not in your database, if you don't have a regimented system for staying in touch with them, following up with them. I stink at taking my own advice here, by the way. My database is in shambles. It needs improvement. It's something that we need to focus on. We have a great problem that we have too many leads. That's why we're growing our team. So I'm like a fat guy giving you coaching on losing weight here. I need to get my house in order too. But if you've got 9 contacts in your database and you've got a 20% conversion rate, that's going to be 2 pieces of business you do this year. If you have 200 people in your database, that's 40 pieces of business you're going to do this year. It's a numbers game. It's a
Nick
numbers
just
game.
shared something with you that's very important. He's on the same plane that you are. That is very important to pick up on. My database is in shambles. It needs some work on it. He connected with you. Let people know that I tell people we're all on this journey together,
Amen.
okay?
That's some powerful feminine energy there, John.
So part of my words are we're all on this journey together. Let's go out and get you a roof over your head.
John, here's the kicker though. Not everybody's on that bus.
No, I know.
Not everybody subscribes to that worldview.
That's a true statement.
That statement tells everyone everything they ever needed to know about you. We're shoulder to shoulder against that tiger.
Absolutely.
So are you looking forward to making your next call?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad I was able to provide you some value. Old school sales. Yes script. We hate no. Let's say I'm selling you some golf clubs. You walk into my golf store. What do I say to you?
How can I help you?
How can I help you? It's insulting how inauthentic that is. Authenticity is the currency of our day. It is the greatest turnoff you could possibly experience to walk into a retail store. You could care less about helping me. You want a commission. If someone walked in the store and he said, how can I earn a commission from you today? That'd make me do a double take. I might do business with you just because I hunger for authenticity. Do you want to see an epic sales pitch? Do you want to see how to sell someone something?
Yes.
You play golf?
No.
What do you do in the golf store?
Okay, yes.
You ever made a hole in one?
No,
Really?
really.
What's the closest you've ever gotten?
It was on the green. I did golf once.
Tell me about it. What was the weather like?
It was really nice. It was around Father's Day. Actually, my uncle's birthday. It was during a tournament. And beautiful weather, and I was with my uncle and my cousins.
Why didn't you get the hole in one?
Actually, because it was my first time golfing.
Wow.
That was pretty impressive for me.
That is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That is pretty impressive.
I was just really trying to connect with the ball.
Isn't that what we're all trying to do?
Yeah.
We're all just trying to connect with the ball.
Yeah.
So what brings you in today?
I'm actually buying for my uncle.
Maybe give him like a little framed picture or something from that day?
Yeah.
Maybe have one around your cell phone or something. What does he need?
It sounds like he needs a few drivers, and, you know, I was gonna pick up something else, but I need recommendations on that.
Well, I just happen to be at a golf store here. Let me show you some clubs.
Wonderful.
Do you think this person might buy something from you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think this person might buy whatever I asked them to buy? Do you think they're going to be looking at the price tag and wondering if I have their best interests at heart?
Not the price tag, but they'll believe that you have their best interest at heart.
You're going to get the hole in one next time with this $10,000 set of golf clubs. I know you are. All we need to do is connect. That's all we need to do. What did I do when I was speaking with her?
Got down to where you were eye to eye instead of standing in the
Absolutely. Physically mirroring her speech and cadence. The words that I use, what words did I choose in that interaction? I would say,
Use the word need.
Yep.
What does he need?
That's right. I would repeat back the last couple of words that she said. What was the weather like? She started mirroring the things that I was saying.
And you took me to a fond place of mine.
I'm in that place now. My neurons, my mirror neurons are just exploding right now. I'm in this beautiful place, this beautiful weather, this time spent with your family, and you can tell that my mirror neurons are firing.
Yes.
And the mirroring it's unavoidable. You don't have to think about it consciously. And if you want to sell someone, that's how you do it, I think.
I just heard my ball hit the pin.
That would have been a beautiful thing for me to say.
Yeah.
That would have been really good reciprocation of the mirroring. I think I just heard the ball. That was so beautifully stated. I could use this same script with every person that walks into my store. What kind of script is this? How many words are there in my script? Like 3 words.
Yeah.
Like 3 words. Here's your winning script.
Easy to remember.
How can I help?
But you're sincere about it.
Mm-hmm.
You're sincere about it. Yeah. So we have gotten through exactly half of my material. We can do a little bit of bonus if you want. If people have a hard stop though, I understand. What do you want to do? You want to keep pushing through?
We've gone through half of your material right
That's
now.
correct, yeah. Sorry about that. We'll do a part 2.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Okay.
Keep going.
You wanna keep going? Who's leaving? All right,
I'll stay if I can have lunch delivered.
well, who's
You
leaving
come
for
to
lunch?
Lunch with us, with.
Got meetings? Well, here's a preview of part 2 of Ignite negotiation, I guess. We don't negotiate, we meet people's needs, we lead, we serve, we build rapport, ask questions, 36 questions to fall in love. It only took 1 question to fall in love today, selling you some golf clubs. Describe the perfect day for you. In this case, I asked for the perfect hole of golf. Always call, you gotta get on your phone, y'all. There's no replacement for getting on the phone. Make sure that you curate the words that you use. They're very powerful. I'm very deliberate about the words that I choose to use. What 2 words are you gonna say 20 times today?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. We lead. We lead with value, we lead our negotiation, we lead into other people's needs, and they follow us. They follow us unconsciously. They follow us joyfully. Beware of yes, master no. Be unashamed of what you ask, of asking for what you want. John can just step in and teach that part of the class. Dude's a master of that. This is never a personal thing. We're playing the infinite game. Flatter people. Sincerely. Nothing's a bigger turnoff than insincere flattery. Flattery, Mark?
Flattery.
Yeah,
We know it.
yeah. I think you're the best salesman in the market today. That's just like the worst. It's the worst. Yeah, but you know, that phrase you used, I've never heard someone use a phrase quite like that before. Mind if I steal that? You didn't realize it, but there was flattery. Very overt flattery. I need to trademark this or something. There's very overt flattery earlier in the presentation when we talked about that. You need to get very specific in all of your negotiation. Visualize. Tell people exactly what the promised land looks like, and we will get there. When you give people a vision, they gravitate to it. I can't talk all of a sudden. It's magnetic. We need to give a reason, any reason. Sincerely, any reason for anything that we want in any negotiation, and you will get what you want. We need to be careful with lowball offers, but I've got some really good techniques on that. Next time we meet, I'll tell you how I got an $80,000 discount on a property that I closed on a few weeks ago. All with these techniques. Some specific strategy for making the call that we had a little intervention on here just now. It's stressful to make the call, but you need to make it. You need to lead, and people will follow. And then very, very, very specific tactics for making that call, and how you can crush the call. How you can make the call your home field, your gladiatorial arena. I've got my headset on 24 hours a day. I am hungry for people to call me and meet me in my home field that I dominate, that I own, where I'm excited to go to battle. Does that sound exciting, y'all?
Yes.
All right, well, we'll have to get on the calendar for that.
I'll be back.
Thank you, Nick.
My pleasure.